Club Veto is on. Your only connection to the very important top officer and unlimited sales success. Your host, Anthony Parinello, is a best-selling author. He's trained over 2 million sales professionals and 65 of the Fortune 100. This program will take you to sales heaven and keep you out of sales hell. So turn it up. Now, here's your host, Tony Parinello.
Today, you get to learn from my very special guest, Bill Cates. Let me tell you a little bit about Bill, first of all. No one on the planet knows more about how to acquire new customers through word-of-mouth referrals and personal introductions than my very special guest. Bill's original referral system has been featured in Success Magazine, Entrepreneur Magazine, Selling Power, and the Wall Street Journal. Let's talk about the exciting world of getting referrals. Now, you know better than anyone the importance of referrals, and you know better than anyone why salespeople don't do it. So maybe we should start there by you sharing with our audience, why is it so important to ask for referrals, and why? I mean, you can ask any salesperson, hey, when's the last time you asked for a referral? Then they kind of look up at the ceiling tiles and go, well, geez, it's been a while. So why is that?
Well, first of all, the upside, why people should be engaged in the referral process. And getting referrals, by the way, is more than just asking for them, and we can cover a lot of that today. But nonetheless, look, is it hard to reach people? I mean, is it hard to reach Vito? Is it hard to reach? It's hard to reach clients these days, let alone prospects. And so one of the few ways left to cut through all the noise is through the referral, through the introduction.
Yeah.
Through the recommendation from someone else they already trust. That's how we get on their radar. And, all the social media and all that stuff that's out there now, it plays a role, and there's no question about that. LinkedIn is a great connection machine we can talk about, but the same principles have to still be in place. You have to be referable, you have to have a relationship, and all that. So it's easier to get to people in most industries most of the time. The selling cycle is usually condensed a little bit. Price becomes less of an issue. Look, it may never go away as an issue, but it becomes less of an issue. Everything gets easier. They're more likely to follow your recommendations. Why? Because they have a friend, a family member, a colleague who has already followed your recommendations and is vouching for you. So everything gets easier when you work from referrals, including what I call living a referral lifestyle. That's not jumping out of planes. It's not reaching the top of Kilimanjaro. It's a lifestyle where you have more control over who you're in front of and who you see and who's calling you. And if you have a place you want to head to in your business, the referral process can take you there because you're doing it in the right way. So that's some of the why to do this. It's the more fun way to build a business. But, why aren't people doing it? Well, usually limiting beliefs, mistaken assumptions, fear in all different ways. For instance, I know some people can cold call till the cows come home, but they won't ask for referrals. Why? Because they're afraid of, quote-unquote, rejection from someone they already have a relationship with rather than someone they don't know. So if you want, I can go into a little more of, why people don't do this.
Yeah, actually, I do want to go back to one thing you said very, very soon out of the gate. You got to be referable. What does that mean?
Well, there's a lot to it, but look, if someone's going to refer you to someone else, they have to know your value, and they have to trust you, and it helps if they like you. Now, if they like you, but they don't know your value or haven't experienced your value, they're not likely to refer you yet. Some people will, but most people won't. They have to have a sense of your value. So you become referable as you create value in the relationship and as you create engagement in the relationship. Now, the good news is it doesn't necessarily have to take a long time. You can bring value and create engagement actually very quickly if you go about it the right way, and then you can maintain that and enhance that throughout the lifetime of your relationship. But there was a study done by a gal named Julie Littlechild in Toronto, and here's interesting thing she discovered, that there's actually a very low correlation between satisfied clients or satisfied customers and giving referrals. There's all this talk about having clients be satisfied and having them be loyal. Well, I'm not saying those things aren't important, but if you want to build a referral-based business, that's not enough. There's a low correlation there. What we need to create is engaged clients or engaged customers. We bring value quickly. We continue to bring value. We build a relationship that goes beyond the core work that we do. Sometimes I call it a business friendship. We even pull back the curtain of our business a little bit and let them know where we're headed. Maybe we help them get where they're headed. Now they can help us get where we're headed once we've helped them, once they see that value. And so that's some of the things that go into this idea of referability, having a client service or a customer service promise that you deliver on a regular basis and continue to bring that value and build that business friendship. And that's what goes into being referable.
So that in and of itself, right there, just that first step, it's a great self-assessment to look at your business, to look at how you sell and who you're selling to and your style, and ask yourself, am I referable? Because it seems to me, Bill and everyone else, if we fail the referable test, asking for referrals is not going to work as well as it can for us.
Well, that's exactly right, and I'll give you a barometer. And I don't have a hard number on this, but because every industry, every business is a little different, but everyone listening to this, myself included, should be getting referrals without asking for them. If we don't have clients or customers and occasionally prospects telling other people about us from time to time, then there's clearly something missing. Could be from early in the process, could be throughout the relationship. I had a guy come up to me after a seminar a little while ago and said, Bill, I've been in this business for 25 years. I can probably count the number of unsolicited referrals I've gotten on two hands. So this guy's telling me in 25 years he's gotten like 10 unsolicited referrals. So I had to catch a flight, so I didn't have time for the therapy that would have to ensue, right, as to why this guy wasn't referable. When people call me up and I'm doing coaching and they're saying, look, I'm not getting referrals like I think I should, I say, well, let's talk about it. I mean, it could be a referability issue.
Yes.
So first of all, let's talk about your initial process. Let's talk about how you stay in touch. Let's talk about the relationships you build. Could be that. It could be a proactivity process. Maybe you're not being appropriately proactive or proactive enough, always appropriately proactive enough to make it happen. Yeah.
Let's hold on this thought. We're going to take a little break here and separate the segments so it makes the listening to the archives easier. And while we take a break, as we listen to a sales tip, I want in the back of your mind, Club Vito members, start presenting this question: are you referable? And I want to do the deep dive into this because everything else that comes after that can be on steroids, it seems to me, if we are, in fact, referable. We'll be right back.
Don't go away. Tony will be right back. This is Club Vito.
You've just been told that you can change the world if you push a giant boulder up a very steep hill. Everyone around you can help, but only after you have moved the boulder by yourself. When you move it, another person can join you, but if you stop pushing, it'll void their effort. After every discernible movement forward, yet another may join in the push, and so on until all are working together for the cause. Enough manpower is available, but it's up to you to get it started and to keep leaning, pressing, and providing the example. Both leadership and strength are imperative. It's up to you, and you can change the world. So that is the nature of momentum. It starts with pushing against the impossible, diligently leaning against the immovable, while holding a vision of progress until the immovable moves. It's about being an example and making an impossible effort, then never tiring. Momentum. It's crucial, it's necessary, and it's up to you. This is Vito Selling head coach Steve Daly. We coach, you win.
You're listening to Club Vito with Tony Parinello. Today, it's time to talk to Vito.
Listen to my very special guest and learn from my very special guest, Bill Cates. And 2010 was inducted into the Speakers Hall of Fame. That's pretty interesting because that award has only been given to less than 150 public speakers since 1977. He is also the author of 3 excellent books. I have all 3 in my sales library. You should have all 3 in yours. The titles are Beyond Referrals, Get More Referrals Now, and Don't Keep Me a Secret. Bill, back to being referable. I wrote down create engagement, know value, and create that value, create trust, and it's important that in the process of this you are likable, that people like you. And you mentioned building a business friendship. What is there a fine? Can you get too friendly with business associates? Because that I put a little circle around that because that can get a little dangerous, can it?
Well, I could, yeah. I'm certainly not talking about going out late at night, drinking, telling each other deep, dark secrets and all that. What I'm talking about, and I think most people have a sense of this, is a relationship that, first of all, goes beyond the core work that you do, and you get to know each other, and you talk about family, you talk about sports interests, you talk about philanthropy, faith, whatever, right? There's just more to it going on, and you build that business friendship where they care about your success. Look, all things being equal, people would prefer to do business with people they like.
Yeah, sure.
All things not being equal, people still do prefer to do business with people they like.
Yes.
And when you create that business friendship, you know, if they're putting out an RFP for something, they'll build it around your capabilities.
Sure.
If they're looking for this or that, they'll let you know. They'll give you a heads up. And that's how it helps the business, and it also helps make you more referable because now they want to help you, and you peel back the curtain of your business a little bit and let them in and where you're trying to head. And then I was talking to a guy this morning who's just enrolled in my coaching program, and I mean he's already getting a lot of referrals without even asking, just because of the way he engages with his clients. And the type of relationship he creates with them from the get-go has created a tremendous amount of referability. So he's getting referrals without asking, and you can get referrals without asking, but it's not often enough. It's not always the right people, so that we have to have that appropriate proactivity in place to make sure that we're getting the right folks.
Yeah, and this is great because I would think in building the business friendship, the fine line would be, look, you know, when you're with, and tell me how this sounds. I mean, when you're with a customer or prospect and the conversation does move to, you know, maybe one of the prospect's kids are going to go to a new college, or maybe they're on a baseball team or whatever, and you're taking notes and note that kind of stuff and kind of keep track of that. Perhaps the next time you communicate with that prospect, ask what the score was of the baseball game or something like that. Maybe you send them a birthday card or anniversary card. I mean, this is what we're talking about when we're talking, you know, become a business friend.
Yeah, that's it. And it can go more. You can break bread together. You can have client or customer appreciation events, which can also turn into marketing events, depending on how you go about it. There's a lot of ways to engage. I'll tell you one simple thing that everybody can do that won't cost a dime to create this engagement, this business friendship feeling, is that whenever you're talking with a client or a customer on the phone, in person, just listen with an ear for things that you can follow up on. So, for instance, you know, Tony, how's it going? How's the family? We're doing well. Mom's going in for hip surgery in a couple of weeks, so we're a little concerned about that. Oh, what hospital? What's the date? Make a reminder. Pops up 2 weeks. Call the client. How did Mom's hip surgery go? Client's going on a vacation, right? Find a blog. Find a couple of websites related to that. Shoot it over to them. Call them back. You know, call them later when they're back from their vacation. Spend a little money, have a little something waiting in their cruise ship, stateroom, a gift from you, bon voyage. So all kinds of little things that you can do and staff can do. Everyone in the company who connects with a customer or client can do this. And in some cases, it costs nothing. What does that do? It creates that feeling of wow and connection and business friendship. You're paying attention. Look, they know you probably wrote it down, but you took the care and the trouble to write it down and then to do something afterwards, because so many people don't.
Yeah, that's the key there, isn't it? Listen to something you can follow up on, and then, of course, follow up on it.
Right.
As you mentioned, many of us take the notes, but then we don't do much with it. This is interesting because just this morning, two of my very dear friends are in Hawaii. They went there yesterday, and they're making a sales call this morning, early and quite early, and they have to get on a plane from Oahu to get over to Maui. And I made a mental note of this, and this morning I text both of them and wish them luck in their business venture over in Maui. Well, it didn't take but a second to do, and in a second I got text back from both of them thanking me. And I didn't have to write it down because they're friends, but when you've got multiple prospects and multiple key accounts and multiple existing customers, you got to keep track of this stuff, because it would be a real pity to listen and not follow up, write something down and not take that last action step, because that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where you're going to get the next step to becoming referable.
Yeah, and likable.
And likable.
Hard to teach likability.
Yes.
Right. Some of us have it, some of us don't.
Yeah.
And not everyone's going to like us. It's some sales trainers will say, when they're dealing with objections, they'll say, "Well, they're not rejecting you; they're rejecting your offer." Well, actually, sometimes they are rejecting you.
You better believe it.
Right. We're not going to hit it off with everybody, but it's these little things that make the huge difference sometimes. And Harvey McKay used to have a thing he called the McKay 66, and it was. Right, I'm sure you've heard of this.
Oh,
It's 66 things you want to know, should know about your client or customer over time. It's not an inquisition, but it's just an indicator that you're getting to know and you're paying attention. You're keeping track of this sort of thing, and it's huge.
Well, it can be overwhelming. So let's just say, let me ask you this: what is the best way? Let's say I am referable. I passed the litmus test. I am referable. What's the best way to identify who in my customer base I can really get referrals from? Because not everybody, if you asked everybody for a referral, it'd be kind of maddening. So what's the best way to qualify the referee?
Sure. Well, there's a few things here that come to mind. Number one, I think it's fine to do client or customer satisfaction surveys with your clients, and you're going to make sure you have this question: would you be willing to recommend us to someone else? Would you be willing to recommend us? Some people call this the Net Promoter Score. The willingness of clients or customers to recommend, and that's good. That's important. Now, that in and of itself isn't everything, because if you're not doing anything to be proactive with that, then it's nice to know, but doesn't really take you anywhere. But if you have, X percentage of your customers or clients saying, yes, I'd be willing to recommend, you can definitely call those people up or meet with them in person and say, I noticed you said you'd be willing to recommend us. I appreciate that. I appreciate the trust you have in what we do. I'm wondering, do you have anybody specific in mind, or is it more of a vote of confidence? Mostly a vote of confidence. I like, great. Well, I have identified a couple of folks that you've mentioned in the past. Can we talk about it a little bit, see if you'd be willing to introduce me to them? So that's how you create that conversation out of that question that might be on a customer satisfaction survey.
So Bill, to this degree, this brings up an interesting point. When we say, would you be willing to recommend us, should we qualify who we're looking to be recommended to?
Well, probably not in a survey. I guess one could craft one, but there it's more of a vote of confidence in the work you do. Now, with that said, I told you earlier I mentioned that concept of, opening the curtain of our business a little bit.
Yes.
Yes, it does make sense to teach our clients and customers who we serve the best, who we're trying to serve, continue to serve. It's usually people like them. People tend to refer lateral and down on the economic/success ladder, authority ladder. People refer like themselves and below, generally speaking. Not always, but generally speaking. So it behooves us, in most cases, to ask people who are like the people we want to meet.
Yes, and to that point, we should know ourselves who those people are,
well,
right?
yeah, that's another call about getting clearer on
yeah.
your vision and where you're trying to go, and
yeah.
and all that.
I mean, that's super critical. Here again, you can throw yourself under the bus if you don't know who the best people and individuals and organizations you serve. How could you ask for the perfect referral if you don't know yourself?
Yeah, you gotta. Everyone's got to have an ideal client profile.
Yes,
and it's a range. It could, and depending on your business, if it's a financial professional, it could be investable assets, net worth, income. If it's somebody in selling employee benefits or consulting with companies, how many employees do they have? So whatever the criteria are, you should be clear on it, clear enough to the point where you've written it down and could actually hand it to someone else. And I heard this a long time ago, Tony. Vague intentions produce vague results. Yeah. Clear intentions produce clear results.
Amen to that. I mean, here again, if you just take what Bill just said and apply it to everything in your sales process, you're going to take a quantum leap in your effectiveness as a salesperson, period. Period. That's like such a great cornerstone. And I love this ideal of the ideal client profile. We do something in Club Vito we call the TIP, the template of our ideal prospect. And what that does, it looks at easily identifiable traits that our best customers have. And then when we look for prospects, we try to match that up, or we must match that up. If it's 7 easily identifiable traits, we want 7 out of 7 before we make the call into the prospective organization. Mm-hmm. So this all points back to really understanding your market, your marketplace, and how you serve it. And when it comes to asking, for a referral, to get as specific as possible. And to your point, which is excellent, maybe not in the survey, but certainly in the qualifying conversation you have with your customers when you get to asking for that referral.
Yeah. So, for instance, if you do, to follow along with the survey, if you do the survey, all right, you have 30% said they'd be willing to recommend you. Great. Look at those 30%. Who among there are the A clients, the A customers, the ones you want to clone, the ones you want to replicate, and you have a conversation with them. Now, it depends obviously on where you are in your career, because when you're new, they fog a mirror. You'll talk to them, right? They're breathing. As you have, as you're more successful, then then you become a little more selective, and that's the beauty of the referral and the introduction process.
Yeah.
You can become more selective. So this is a continuum, if you will, but we want to get to that point where we are selective, need to be selective to protect our time. And to protect the income that we want to earn.
Yeah, and I would think, too, to protect the people who are giving us the referral, because, here again, and we'll go back to this, certainly, but, why don't we ask for referrals, the fear of rejection, all that kind of stuff. We don't want to make an idiot out of the person that, is giving us the name of the other individual. So all that plays into this whole thing, too. We're up against another break here, Bill. You can stick around for another segment, right?
For you, anything.
I love it. Thank you very much. Hey, Club Vito members, we'll be right back. Don't go away.
You're listening to Tony Parinello on Club Vito.
This is Bill Brooks. Surprise! Prospects won't take any action on a purchase decision unless you ask them to buy. Listen, you cannot make a buying decision for the prospect, but you can certainly facilitate the decision-making process for them. When you feel the time is right, come right out and ask for the order. This should simply be a matter of tying up loose ends of the sale. For some salespeople, it works better to assume the prospect has made the decision to buy and to begin handling paperwork related to that sale. The chief advantage of this approach is that prospects don't have to make one big buying decision, just a series of smaller decisions. Another way to ask for the order is to ask a question that cannot be answered with yes or no. Something like, what color would you like this in? Or do you want to pay cash, or would you like to go ahead and discuss other payment options? It's not a big deal. Just do it.
I'm Bill Brooks, author of the bestseller, The New Science of Selling and Persuasion, How Smart Companies and Great Salespeople Sell.
Club Vito with Tony Parinello is on. Now back to Talk to Vito.
And back to my very special guest, Bill Cates, widely recognized as one of the foremost experts in the art and science of acquiring new clients. Now, Club Vito members, it is totally essential to find new clients. I mean, if you're getting most of your business from existing accounts, like a couple of bread and butter accounts, you are missing the whole point and the importance of finding new logos and acquiring new clients. Now, Bill has a system that he does through referrals and personal introductions. Bill is also the president of Referral Coach International, and he's the creator of the Referral Advantage program, the Referral Champions System, and the Referral Coach Academy. There's a constant theme running through everything you do, Bill, and it's referrals.
Indeed, and not just referrals anymore, Tony. It's introductions, because
I love that.
Hence my book, Beyond Referrals. The referral isn't enough anymore. We got to get connected. Well,
what's interesting about that is if you just stop with the referral and you don't get that introduction, that is like a golden. What goes on beyond gold? I don't know. What's more precious than gold these days?
Platinum. Diamonds. I don't know.
Yeah. And so that's tell us a little bit about that then. Let's well, wait, before we do that, I wrote down a question during the break here. Let's go back to this customer satisfaction survey. Bill, do you think it's a good idea, let's just say, to have a abbreviated customer satisfaction survey that only asks, would you be willing to recommend us?
I'm not sure I would support that. Look, there's a lot of ways to do this. I'm not going to say categorically no. One of the things I teach is kind of an in-person way of doing this, which is, I call it the value discussion. And so it's a check-in with a prospect or a customer or client about the meeting, about the process, about the overall relationship. And so first they talk about anything not working, and usually everything's fine, but you want to pick up on anything that's not working. And then, what is working? How have I earned your business? How do I continue to earn your business? And then, from that, where we see we have a happy, loyal customer client, then we can go and be proactive around referrals. We could say, are we referable in your eyes? We can promote referrals. We can say things like, great, I'm glad I got a happy client. Please don't keep us a secret out there. Don't keep me a secret, something I've been teaching for 20 years. I didn't invent it, but I've just kind of popularized it. Tony, we're never too busy to see if we can be a resource for other people you care about, or we're never too busy to, provide the royal treatment to your colleagues and friends. So that little check-in while we're there, that alone I've seen create referrals, by the way, without even asking for them. Just checking in more often creates more engagement. They get in touch with the value. And then we just nudge the process a little bit. So I think it's okay to do it on surveys. I think it's okay to do it in person. But I try to make it more than just the referral. Make it about the value that's being perceived by the prospect or client.
Yeah, and I would think, too, the more value you're delivering and the more value your client experiences, the more willing and greater number of referrals they'd probably give you.
Yeah, generally speaking, that's right. I mean, engaged clients average 1 to 5 referrals a year. Some will do more than that. Some will do a little less, but we should be tapping into that.
Boy, that is that a good number for us to? What do you think about this, Club Vito members? If we had a benchmark for ourselves and said to ourselves, look, I've got 20 existing clients that I serve on a regular basis. I'm delivering value to them. My benchmark this next year is going to be to get 1 to 5 referrals from each one, or maybe it should be every quarter get 1 to 5 referrals. Setting a goal like that might be an interesting way to benchmark our own progress, and instead of just saying, we're going to ask for referrals, and we never quite get around to it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's 2 things we should benchmark, I think. That's what I would call an achievement goal, meaning every quarter we want to get X number of referrals and convert X number of referrals into clients. But then we need to have behavioral goals, as you know. In other words, what is the behavior necessary to get to that point? So for my system, it's things like having this value check-in, this value discussion. It is asking for referrals. It is turning the referral into an introduction. That's the behavior necessary to create the result that we're looking for. But yeah, having a benchmark, and look, it varies from every business.
Sure.
Depends a lot on the type of business that you're in as to what kind of volume you can create around this. For some people, it really is a quantity issue, and for some people, it's just a quality issue of getting the right people.
So I just thought of another question here, if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Business to business versus business to consumer. Is it easier if I'm in a business to consumer selling environment to get referrals than business to business?
No, if anything, it's the other way around. Business to business is usually easier, only because we're not talking about something personal.
Yes.
We're talking about business, and most business people are used to networking. They're used to connecting. They're used to introductions.
Right.
They're on LinkedIn. It's how they got to where they are by connections, referrals, recommendations. So it's usually a little easier. Now, obviously, it depends on what you're selling and who your contact is. But the good news is that most industries are incestuous. People move around to the same company within the industry, so they know other people in other companies. They're part of study groups. They're part of networking groups. So the business to business quite often is easier than the business to consumer.
Sure.
Makes sense. Consumer, word of mouth is fairly easy to create with consumers, but not the actual connections. That gets a little tougher.
Yes.
But it works. I mean, I work with a lot of insurance agents, for instance, where we're talking about private financial stuff, and we get them getting a lot of referrals. So it can work B2C.
Yeah, I would think the risk is a little higher in B2C for somebody to give you the name of a close relationship, especially if you're helping, like if someone's helping me with my financial plan or whatever, that puts a lot on the line when I would introduce the financial planner to someone I know, and care about, because if they muck it up, man, I'm feeling kind of responsible for the introduction and the mucking up of it.
That's right. That's why it's so important to teach your clients or customers, if they do think of someone, here's how you'll handle it. Tony, if you ever think of someone you think should be aware of me and the work we do here, let me share with you how I'd handle it so you'd feel comfortable making that connection. And then I'll talk about confidentiality. I'll talk about the fact that I'd handle this with great care. I'm not going to call someone out of the blue and make them wonder, why did Tony get my name out to this guy? Nobody likes to get a call like that anymore. Typically my clients will introduce me with an email, or sometimes we'll even break bread together and be introduced in person. Whatever we do, we're going to make sure we handle this with great care. How's that sound? Sounds good. So now I've taught you what it would look like if they did think of someone. So we've got to take that risk away. Personal, B2B, B2C, doesn't matter. One of the reasons why people don't give referrals is they don't know how you're going to handle it. What is it going to look like? If they thought through it and how you handled them, they'd probably be fine, but they don't. There's just a little emotional thing going on here. So just teach your clients. If you do think of someone, here's how I'd handle it. And then that fear goes away because the unknown goes away.
Yes, and this is, I would say, Bill, that's a step that probably very few, even people, unless they've been through your program, let's say you get this great referral salesperson, I bet they don't do that. So would that include, like, if I was going to send an email out, would I show the person, hey, this is the email that I'll be sending out, or this is the first piece of correspondence that I would be sending along with, the introduction you make? So you want to disclose the process you're going to follow and what you're going to do and what you're going to use. Do you take it to that full extent?
You can, absolutely. And sometimes it's just a matter of reminding them how you met them.
Yes.
You may recall, I sent you this, and then we talked on the phone, and then that's pretty much the same way we'll go. And if I remind you, obviously you wouldn't be my customer right now if you didn't think it was fine.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's just reminding.
Yep. Very good. Okay, so now I make them aware of the process I'm going to follow. What do you do when you have someone who's reluctant, like, to give you the referral? Do you just leave it be and back away from it, or do you try to convince them to give you a referral?
Well, I don't think you want to convince them per se, but I think there is a way to engage them in a conversation. I'm not a big believer in quote unquote overcoming objections, because if we come from that perspective of trying to overcome, then usually what's going to happen is they're going to feel wrong about their feeling and thinking, and they're going to dig their heels in a little bit more. So what I like to do is just be totally willing to explore their objection. There's usually an objection behind the objection, or there's a reason for the objection. And the thing about referrals is that if we bug people real hard for referrals, now, well, and they don't like that, then we've pretty much burnt the bridge
Yeah.
for referrals down the road.
Yeah.
And so we got to live to play another day. Look, some people will do the referral thing very quickly in the relationship. Some people, it takes a while. Some people say they never do it and then still do it later on their own terms. So in a nutshell, what it sounds like is, and this is really true for any objection, this will work with any objection. This even used to work with my teenage daughter.
Oh, that's the litmus test right there. Right?
Well, when it comes to teenage daughters, there's nothing that good, solid reasoning won't aggravate further, of course. No.
I don't have direct experience with that, but I've observed it many times. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the thing with objections, referral objections, any objections, is we got to understand the objection.
Sure.
So it goes like this. Tony, can we brainstorm a little? Can we identify a few folks that you think should at least be aware of what we? I don't like to give referrals. That's fine. Look, I know some people don't. Can you tell me more? Have you had a bad experience? So these words, I just did one of our weekly tips on this. Tell me more.
Yeah.
The most powerful words I've ever learned in the sales and life living process is, my girlfriend wants to do something. She's got a, there's an agenda there. I can tell it, right? Tell me more, right? And so what do? They'll tell you more. I need to think about this. Well, look, this is an important decision. Tell me more. Well, I want to, okay, so there's a few things you want to weigh. So what you're doing is you're engaging them in the objection. You're not making them wrong. You're not yes-butting them.
Yeah.
You're not afraid of it. It's something you've heard in the past. It's fine. You're validating and then exploring.
Sure.
And sometimes you can reframe their thinking. What if you could talk to them first and, let them know I'll be reaching out in a soft way? Okay, yeah, we can do. So sometimes we can reframe their thinking. Sometimes we can't. Here's what we found. The worst thing that happens when you ask for referrals in the right way, the worst thing that happens is that you plant the seed for referrals later. You're not going to lose them as a client or a customer. Some people will do it now. Some people will do it later when they're ready. Some people won't ever do it. You've got some clients you could run into a burning building and save their children they wouldn't give you referrals. But they're not going to stop working with you as long as you bring it up. They don't want to go there. You back off.
That in and of itself is a comforting environment to establish with this whole referral asking. Mm-hmm. Is if someone isn't ready, willing, and able, they ain't ready, willing, and able. And it's not the end of the world, because if I need a referral this month, I'm going to need one 4 months from now. And so, so don't become so intense about this, but make it part of your repertoire, your sales repertoire. And maybe when we first get a client, maybe we let them know that at some point in the future, I might be asking you for a referral or something like that to kind of set the stage even before you ever ask.
Yeah, it's not just asking. It's the culture that you build. It's the culture of engagement. It's the culture of promoting referrals. It's the culture of, saying, Tony, look, at some point, George referred you to me. At some point, I hope that I earn the right for you to recommend me to somebody else. It's the way people prefer to meet me. They feel more comfortable, and obviously it's good for me as well.
It's that referral lifestyle you were talking about.
It's exactly right. Now, let me make one little important distinction here.
Sure.
I think generally speaking, we're using the word referrals a lot, but when you're out there with your clients, with your prospects, with your customers, I think generally speaking, it's better to use the word introductions, because that's what we need these days, right? We don't just need word of mouth. We don't just need, hey, Bill called George, use my name. I mean, that's better than nothing, but it usually doesn't work quite as well as it used to, because you just can't reach these people. So we really want an introduction. We really want to get a connection. So I think that should be our default word when we're talking with prospects, clients, customers. It doesn't mean you can't say referrals. Doesn't mean you can't say recommendations. It just let's use the words that direct us towards what we really want.
And the word introduction is a little bit easier to agree to. Because
Well,
I
think so.
The word referral kind of implies that you're going to sell, that you're going to ask someone to do something that maybe they're not ready to do. Almost. I mean, if you put some concerns about why people won't give us a referral, now they're going to bug them every day and call them at home or whatever. But an introduction is a little softer.
Yep, it seems to work.
You can stick around for another segment, last segment?
You got it. Absolutely.
Perfect. All right, everybody. Think about this. Reframing referrals, and maybe start asking for introductions. More from my very special guest when we come back, so don't go away.
Club Vito with Tony Parinello. We'll be right back.
I'm David Booth of Eloquy, and here's a tip called Visual Snapshots from our newest book, The Speaker Survival Guide. Do you ever wonder how much of your presentation or pitch clients can recall? When you clinically describe a product or service with statistics, features, and benefits, you do not snag the attentional area of the brain. Sensing the client is not engaged can then heighten anxiety, causing you to add more data but not solve the problem. Instead, frame your content in visual images. Use anecdotes, case studies, similes, or metaphors. An attorney-client described his firm's resources in feet. I walk 6 feet in-house to my environmental practice partner and another 9 feet to my real estate partner. If the audience can imagine your example via salient details, they'll remember it, stay engaged, and best of all, remember you.
This is Club Vito with Tony Parinello behind the mic. Today, you talk to Vito.
About 46 minutes ago, I started out the program by telling you there was no one else on the planet that knew more about how to acquire new customers through word of mouth, referrals, and personal introductions than my special guest, Bill Cates. It is beyond a shadow of a doubt, Bill has spent probably most of his adult life perfecting this process. And he's bringing to you stuff that works. And here's how I know it works, because Bill's the kind of guy that uses it himself to build his business. And so that's always the test for me. You can tell. And Bill, I can tell you do this just by listening to the advice you're giving our Club Vito members. And it's so easy to tell. And I know, you can sit and listen to someone and if they do it themselves, it is telling you, try this and see if it works. Or, this is what I did 30 years ago and blah, blah, blah. So I'm really going to thank you now before we run towards the end of the show here to share this stuff with us, because it is not only coming from, practice and hard practice and development, but I can tell you're just really very passionate about the whole process of introductions, referrals, and all that good stuff.
Well, you're right, and it's about building a business based on how people want to meet us, right?
Yep.
Can other things work? Can other marketing things work? Yeah, of course.
Sure.
But how would someone prefer to meet us? Well, it's a recommendation, referral from someone else they trust. And look, all the sales skills in the world are worthless unless you have enough people to be in front of.
Yep.
And the type of things that you teach and bring to your folks, sales skills and relationship building skills, they all work better when you've met someone through a referral or an introduction, because you're starting out at a higher level, right? You're starting out at a higher level of trust. You're borrowing the trust in one relationship just long enough to earn your own trust in this new relationship. We as salespeople have to show up trustworthy. And so what's no better evidence than that trustworthiness than the recommendations from someone else they already trust. So the whole world of sales, marketing, business building gets easier when we create that culture of referrals and introductions.
Well, yeah, the whole internet giddy up these days is all about the connections and all about being trustworthy and being reliable, and reviews and this kind of stuff, and LinkedIn invitations to meet someone and all that kind of stuff is testimonial to that. Several years ago, I met Barry Traylor, and I've interviewed Barry several times on Club Vito, and he's this walking, talking library of statistics. And years ago, he taught me, he says, and you tell me if this is still true, because I don't know, but when you're given a referral and you reach out to that person, an introduction or whatever, the person you're being referred to is like 60% more likely to engage with you and even buy from you because you're being referred. Is that number gone up or gone down or gone sideways, or what do you think?
Well, one thing I know about these type of statistics, Tony, is about, in fact, 47% of statistics are made up on the spot. Oh.
Even the 40, wait a minute, even the 47%?
60%. What I do know is that it's true in just from an anecdotal standpoint. Yeah. So I have seen people whose, appointment setting ratios, closing ratios, double, even triple when they start to work from referrals and then even introductions. So I'll give you an example. One firm I was working with a while ago, when the do not call list came out, everybody was up in arms, and that,
Sure.
especially the B2C.
Sure.
And here's what they found. They did a study. Over 6 months, they were getting these referrals that were, some of them were on a do not call list, and some of them weren't on a do not call list. And the closing ratio of the people on the do not call list was twice that of people not on the do not call list. Now, you'd think it'd be the other way around, right? Because the people not on the do not call list were easier to reach.
Right.
But because they were on the do not call list, you had to get the referral source engaged in making a connection. And because the connection got made, because you came in at a higher level, that's what doubled the closing ratio. So we know that, this stuff works and why it works, and every industry is a little bit different. And another factor is the relationship of the referral source and the prospect. High trust relationships, obviously, easier to set appointments, do business. Lower trust relationships, they don't work as well.
Yeah.
That's quite often referrals from a CPA, for instance, are usually very coveted because most people trust their CPAs and trust their opinion.
Yes. What's the best way to say thank you to your referral source?
Mm-hmm. Well, I am a big believer in saying thank you, first of all, and I think we want to say thank you for the giving of the referral, the creating of the introduction. We don't wait for the new prospect to become a client or customer before we say thank you. It's not about the money. It's a gesture of thank you. I would say minimum would be handwritten note. A nice thing to send would be, maybe movie theater tickets, a gift card, for Amazon or something like that. It's not about the money. It's just a gesture. And I like things that are flat and easy to mail. I like things that are customized and tailored to that person if we can. So that'd be minimum. Now, if the client or the prospect becomes a client or customer, we could say thank you again. We definitely want to keep people in the loop. That's another way of saying thank you, is just kind of let them know that we've reached out, we got an appointment scheduled, thank you very much, let you know how it goes. That's part of the appreciation process. But here, Tony, is one of the most powerful things that you can do to say thank you. So let's say that you're my new client, and our friend George recommended we get together.
Uh-huh.
So I could say, Tony, when are you going to see George next?
And I'll say, I'm going to see him next week.
Great. Will you thank him for both of us? He needs to know that putting us together works.
I love that.
So now I got
so
new happy client thanking. All right,
yes.
here's another way. I'll give you 3 layers of this. Next one. Tony, you and George play golf from time to time, don't you?
Oh, yeah. I beat him every time.
Well, I expect that. But here's a box of Pro V golf balls, 2 sleeves for you, 2 sleeves for him. Now, you got to make sure you give them to him. But just it's a way of us saying thank you. It's got my logo on it, by the way. Make sure you lose it in the fairway. So, you, my new happy client, are hand-delivering a little something to your friend, to your colleague. Now, here's the most powerful one.
Bill, wait, before you do that, I want to point out to everyone before they forget, when you are a great listener, and I'll tell you why I'm saying that. When I said to you just tongue-in-cheek, I beat him all the time, you responded to that. And that response was that magical moment in what we were doing here, and it's a great illustration to the Club Vito members. When you are with someone, be with them. Pay attention. Respond. And that's a little nugget you were talking about before. Look for something to follow up. Look for something to respond to. And you found it, and you did it masterfully, and I didn't want that moment to escape. Our relationship or the Club Vito's learning point here is very powerful. So sorry for the interruption, but now go ahead.
It's fine. It's welcome. And I, something I was thinking at the break that your followers, your tribe should know about you is this is one of the best interviews I've ever done, because you really are listening to what I'm saying and trying to find the nuggets of value for your club members. A lot of people who interview me are just going down a list of questions that were pre-prepared. You've actually created a conversation out of this, and I think, number one, it's more valuable to your listeners. Number two, it's more engaging. It's fun for me. So kudos to both of us, I guess, right?
Yeah,
anyway.
Thank you for that. And you know what? Your office sent me questions to ask, and I haven't used a single one of them because I love this conversation we're having. So thank you very much for that. And I had a high five to both of us, from both of us.
Good. So, So let me. The best way to say thank you, right? I was about to do that. It's magical, and it fits most businesses. So Tony, I was thinking about taking George to lunch to say thank you for the introduction to me. I got a better idea. Let's both take him to lunch. I mean, I'll pick up the tab, but the thank you comes from both of us. He needs to know he did a good thing introducing us. And so now we got happy new client thanking happy old client. Yes. You're there.
Yes.
Who are they talking about at lunch?
Yes.
You.
And other people,
and other people
that,
Amen.
And you know what's interesting here? This goes back to your point you made earlier about keep them in the loop and how it's going. What better way? Now, of course, Club Vito members, you can't do this all the time because, it'll cost a lot of money. You got to fly here, fly there. But, you take this and you apply it where it can be applied so you get the best return and you get the most out of it. And so does the referral source and the person you've been referred to. It's classic, absolutely classic.
Yep.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Well, of course, we're up against the hour. So here's what I'd like to do. Keep in mind, Club Vito members, that of course, this is all archived. You get the archive. There's a direct link to Bill's website. Bill, when they get to your website, do you want to direct them anywhere special, or you just want them to peruse around? What would you like for the Club Vito member to do when they click on your website?
Well, I appreciate. Thank you for that. I would say a couple of things. We have a drop down for individuals, and it says a members area or something like that. A lot of free stuff there. There's a place to sign up right on the home page for a report and our tips, and we just drip on you some good stuff on a regular basis. And then we've got some great things at our store. Besides my books, we have a Referral Champions program for someone who really wants to take a deep dive into this and stop dabbling in referrals, but really make it work. Then certainly our Referral Champions program is something to look at. And then we have our Referral Coach Academy. Not unlike your Club Vito, we have a way of staying in touch in a value-oriented way. It's very affordable. And, again, we found with this referral thing, just like sales training, you just don't do it once and then you get it, right? Sales training is ongoing. Referral, part of that, I'm kind of the batting coach. I'm the hitting coach. I don't do every aspect of the sales process, but I do some of very important part of the sales process that'll augment what they're getting from you. And so bring me in as the hitting coach or the referral coach, and then I'll help from that.
Bill, thank you so much for being who you are and doing what you do. Thanks for joining us and spending the last hour with us and sharing everything with us. Do yourself a huge favor. Listen to this archive time and time and time again. But with this particular archive, I want you to share with everybody you know in sales. Every single person you know in your office that's a seller, that's a sales leader, everybody in your family, your circle of friends. Share this with them after you listen to it and make the world a better place. Bill, thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Club Vito with Tony Parinello. Stay in touch with us 24 hours a day at vitoselling.com or call us with comments and suggestions at 800-777-VITO. This program and its entire contents are the property of Anthony Parinello. Unauthorized duplication or rebroadcast without express written permission of Anthony Parinello is prohibited and unlawful under U.S. copyright law.